Hello everybody. Alright, so today I have a very interesting video for you guys. I'm going to do a pretty much run through of all the AP items that you can build on AP Shaco. Or every item that exists, in my opinion on them, because not every item in this list is actually something you should or could or can build. Before I start though, I want to kind of show you my account real quick, so you guys actually do believe what I'm talking about. I'm currently at 400 OP Grandmasters, and I do play a shit ton of AP. AP is actually my favorite playstyle. As you can see, quite a few AP games in there, even here, down there, So I do know what I'm talking about. And without further ado, I would say let's get right into this. Now, the obvious thing here, obviously, is you need Runic Echoes on AP Shaco in the jungle. If you didn't know, this video is 99% for AP Shaco, actually 100% AP Shaco. Top lane Shaco you should really not play, and support Shaco is a completely different story. So this is mainly going to be focused on AP Shaco in the jungle. Now, Runic Echoes, as I said, very important. Every time you go AP, this is your rush item, always. There's no exception. Don't go Tiamat, don't do anything stupid with, I don't know, Proto Belt first. Always go this item first, 100% of the time. The on-hit damage is insane. It adds a lot of clear speed. It gives you a lot of mana sustain with the Runic proc on the jungle camps. So this is really, really important. It has insanely overpowered stats. The on-hit damage is insanely overpowered. Makes your E deal a shit ton of damage. In combination with Dark Harvest, this is a really deadly combo. So this item, always build it, please. First item, always. So some people go Runic with Red Smite. Now, the reason I don't like it personally is because as AP Shaco, the way I play it at least, with my playstyle, is that I'm a control mage that tries to stay out of auto attack range of the enemy champion whenever possible. I try not to take damage, if that makes sense. The thing with Red Smite is, it has more damage overall than Blue Smite, that is true. You also have the damage reduction, which can be nice, but again, you're not going to be dueling, so... or at least you shouldn't be dueling most of the time, and if you are going to duel, it's gonna be with your boxes and your clone as bait, or you want the clone to explode. You're never going to be auto-attacking somebody to death on AP Shaco unless it's very, very early in the game. We don't have Runics yet. But Blue Smite is just so much better. The true damage, the slow, it makes a great combo for the late game with Proto Belt into Smite, into E, into Ignite. That is a really clean combo. Also, the Blue Smite helps you to slow those enemies to make them be stuck on your box, if that makes sense. You can slow them down so they can't escape the AoE range of your box. So Blue Smite is just 10 times better than Red Smite. Just take my word for it. You can test both, but you will notice how much better AP is. Now, what I usually do is, let's go over the boots first, actually, because this is something that the Shaco community is kind of split too. Especially on NA, people like to take Ionian boots. And on EU West, people usually like to take Sorcerer shoes or even Ionian boots as well. There's a couple of people who go, for example, the magic resistance boots, the tenacity boots, or the armor boots, which I think is just not good because, again, you shouldn't be taking damage in the first place. You should be playing a very passive and very controlled magey playstyle with your boxes and your clone explosion. So I don't think you should ever build defensively in a way that makes sense. Unless there's certain scenarios, which I'm going to go over later. But usually I would say that offensive boots are way better, and since you don't need attack speed, yeah, I mean, there's only these two options. So the Cdr Boots are very interesting because they allow you to get 40% really easily. They're super cheap. They also reduce the Smite and the Ignite cooldown, which a lot of people like. But that's about it. Now the Sword Boots, they are really, really strong. They give you flat 18%, no, not percent, flat 18 magic penetration. Now, for you that don't know, this is really huge because the average enemy has like 30 to 40 magic resist. So if you take 18 away and then build one more magic penetration item, you're basically going to be dealing true damage. And true damage is insanely overpowered. If you have enough magic pen to deal true damage, your clone is going to one-shot somebody. The explosion into then the auto attacks from the box is enough to solo kill an AD carry late game, no problem. Granted that you actually do deal true damage instead of them having magic resist and you're not dealing true damage. But I would always recommend Sorcerer Shoes, unless for some reason you prefer Ionian Boots. That is honestly up to you. It depends on the playstyle. It depends on how comfortable you are with AP Shaco. Most people swear on the fact that you need to have 45% with Cosmic Insight. I personally am fine with only 30%. Then again, that is just maybe my playstyle, and some people have different playstyles. For example, Chase runs Cosmic Insight like 99% of the times, and he really likes 45%, which is not wrong. I'm not saying it's worse or better. It's just a different playstyle, and for me, it's not the right playstyle. So I like Sorcerer Shoes a lot more. Now, let's get back to the real items. Dark Seal. Dark Seal is always great. If you don't have enough, I don't know, gold, for example, of course gold. If you don't have enough gold for an M-Tome when going back for the first or second time or something, and you're trying to build for the Runics, which you should rush, but you don't have enough gold for an M-Tome, you can definitely get a Dark Seal. This is a really great item. It gives you a pretty decent amount of AP for only 350 gold. It does require 10 stacks to be very efficient, but even with only a couple of stacks, it already is more than 100% gold efficient, and the fact that you can sell this item later on again and then just get something else is really great. Now, if you do plan on keeping this item because you're snowballing really hard, then you can get Magi's. You keep the stacks you have from the Dark Seal on the Magi's, which is really nice. So if you have 10 stacks on Dark Seal, you have 10 stacks on Magi's already. And Magi's is really, really good. It's kind of a high risk, high reward kind of playstyle. And since your AP Shaco, it's not that big of a risk actually. It's medium risk, high reward. 25 stacks on Magi's is disgusting. It really is disgusting. You do lose 10 stacks per death though, so that you have to keep that in mind. But this item is really snowbally. I personally don't build it because I feel like even though it's that great, I am more comfortable having other items. Especially because I feel like magic penetration is really important on AP Shaco. It didn't always make sense to go magic penetration on Shaco because your E dealt physical damage and only your boxes and explosion dealt magical damage. And back then AP was more of a one-shot oriented build, but now I think magic pen is really, really broken, and a lot of people are sleeping on it. Now, that's also why I really recommend building Oblivion Orb. Now, you have to be careful though. This is the crucial part. This is really important. If you are the only AP damage source on your team, you should definitely go to Oblivion Orb, because the chance of the enemy team building Magic Resist is really, really low. As long as the enemy team doesn't build Magic Resist, Oblivion Orb is broken, because the 15 Magic Pen you get from this and the 18 Magic Pen you get from Sorcerer Shoes, they basically negate all of the enemy Magic Resist, which means you deal true damage. And again, true damage is really broken. I know I've said this like 20 times now, but the true damage on the E and the boxes and the R is, it's disgusting, trust me. Now, if the enemy team does have Magic Resist, like, I don't know, Merc Treads or Hex Drinker or even like Athenes or something, or Gargoyles on supports, this item falls off considerably, because taking 15 Magic Resist away is not going to be that huge if they have 100. The difference between 100 Magic Resist and 85 is almost not noticeable. You're going to be dealing like, I don't know, 10 damage more. So investing 1,600 gold into an item just to deal 10 damage more is not really worth it. So only get this item if you are sure the enemy team is not going to build Magic Resist, and you're good to go basically. Now, the big debate also, not only for boots, but also for which Hextech item you should go, is yeah, another huge debate again. On NA, people usually go GOP, mostly because Chase plays it, and, well, everyone knows Chase, so people usually go Hextech GOP. On the other hand, on EO West, and especially what I prefer, is Proto Belt. Now, it's strange, it really is strange, because on paper, GOP looks really fucking broken, and it is kind of broken. But I still like the Hextech, no, sorry, Proto Belt more. Now, the reason is just because of the active. The active deals a little bit more damage, I feel like. It shouldn't, because in terms of base damage, GOP is higher. But I feel like Proto Belt, the dash is just so useful. It helps you catch up to somebody, then slow them with your smite and then EM or something. Or just acts as poke, especially if you have Liandry's later on. Whereas GOP does have the same poke, kind of. It's safer in a longer range, but you usually don't get to proc multiple bolts, and you can't proc multiple bolts as far as I know. So I just feel like GOP is kind of a... it's more of a support Shaco playstyle, whereas Hextech Protobelt is more of a carry kind of AP Shaco playstyle. I don't know, it's weird, because you get 20% CDR from GOP, you get, I think, 80 AP. It's really not bad. It really isn't. Like, the stats are great. The problem is that the sub-items is Hextech Revolver, which is for the same as GOP, as Protobelt, sorry. But the problem is, a Lost Chapter in the jungle is really, really bad. You invest 1,300 gold for 40 AP and the mana. You do get CDR, but you lose out on gold because you build mana and the recovery passive, which gives you mana when leveling up, which you really don't need in the jungle. So, I don't know. The stats are good. Building up to the item, not so much. But the stats should be really good. And if you like this item, it's perfect because it's really gold efficient in my opinion. This item is super gold efficient. I just don't like it because of the active. I prefer the Protobelt active by quite a bit. So again, there's something that comes down to your own preference, to your own playstyle. What I would suggest is testing both for like 10 games, seeing what you like, play them when ahead, play them when behind, and then maybe you find that, I don't know, GOP is better when behind and Protobelt is better when ahead, and I don't know, maybe you develop your own playstyle, which is, honestly, that's perfect. That's what should be. You shouldn't blindly copy somebody's playstyle, you should more use it as, I don't know, inspiration. But anyways, let's continue. Now, Rylai's, please don't build this. The last time I seen Rylai's was like Singed, but I don't even think Singed builds it anymore. So, I don't know. Who builds this item? I literally don't know. Maybe Brand sometimes? Yeah, I really don't know anyone who builds this item anymore. It's really bad. Don't build it. Please, just do me a favor and don't build this. Void Staff, on the other hand, oh boy, this item is lovely. I love this item. Again, this comes back to my true damage speech. This item gives you 40% magic penetration, which is insane. This is really good when the enemy team does actually have MR, for example, Merc Treads or Hex Drinker or any other magic resist item, and you want to shred that magic resistance. Because 40% is a lot more when they have 100 MR than 15. Because if you take 40% magic resistance away, from 100 that's 40, instead of only 15 from this, you also get 70 AP. So this is really, really good. I think Void Staff becomes more efficient than Oblivion Orb at like 40 magic resist or something. Or 50? I don't remember what the exact number is. It's not that hard, it's like a quick math thing, but I'm too lazy right now. But this item is really broken if the enemy team does have magic resist. And you need some MR shred basically. Now, when to build this item, usually I'm going to give like a quick build that I usually go, or build order at the end if you want to. But I want to keep most of it for separate videos if you want me to do any specific build or something like that. Now, Zhonya's. This is tough because this is one of the items that a lot of people like to build, but I really don't like to build it. I don't know. It comes down to my playstyle again, because I feel like you don't need defensive items most of the time for Shaco. There's certain scenarios where you do need them, but usually I don't need them, or I wouldn't recommend building them because there's better items. The thing is, the active is really cool. I'm just not sure how worth it is to build this item just for the active. Because what people always tell me is that you can queue in and then place a box and then E and then Protobelt or R or whatever you want to do. Then press Sonya's and then queue out again. Because with 40% CDR and everything and the 2.5 seconds you are in untargetable, it makes it really easy for that kind of trick, I guess, trickery. But the question is it really worth it to build an item just for that little trick when you can just not do it? I don't know. It really depends, because I've built this item before and I've done that trick and it just didn't feel necessary, if that makes sense. I could have made a play without that item as well. or without that certain trick, I guess. So the only time I ever built this is if I really need the armor. If the enemy team has like 3 or 4 armor or assassins or physical damage dealers, this is something that you can build, because sometimes even if you play it perfectly, they're gonna hit you, and they are going to hit you, let's be real. Then sometimes having that extra armor is good, but usually I wouldn't build it, especially not for the active. It's not worth it. You're spending 2.9k gold just for the active. I don't know, there's better items that you should get ASAP, because they're really broken. But again, not a bad item, just too situational in my opinion, and I would only build it as a defensive item against very heavy AD comms, or sometimes into something like Karthus. But again, you can dodge Karthus R with your R, so it really depends. Now, Twin Shadows is not for jungle Shaco, to be honest. It works on support Shaco, but only if you go Glacial. But then if you go Glacial on AP Shaco support, you're kind of trolling, because you're basically ruining your laning phase, which is where you're super strong if you play it right. Yeah, don't build this in the jungle. Same with Lichbane. This used to be a good item on Shaco, now it's just horrible, because the problem is it scales off of total AP, and since you're not getting as much AP as you used to, this doesn't really stack that well. You don't really get that much out of it, because if you have like 300 AP or like 400 AP, which is what you have after like 3 items, you have 200 damage on it damage, which is, wow, that's crazy. That isn't really going to help you. Of course, you get 75 base attack damage on top of that, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Especially because on AP Shaco, as I said 1,000 times now, you shouldn't be in auto attack range. You're not an assassin anymore. You're a control mage. You outplay them with your boxes, you outplay them with your clone, you poke them down with your Ian Protobelt. So having this burst is just really counterintuitive, because that's not what your playstyle is. So don't build Lichbane. I mean, Luden's Echo, don't build it, because, well, it's the same item as Runic's, just a little bit more expensive with a little bit more damage. You could, in theory, swap it out in the very late game, the Runic's. I wouldn't do it though, because the blue smite, in my opinion, is really nice. But then again, you get a little bit more AP, you get 10% more CDR, a little bit more damage, more mana. It's really up to you. I usually just keep my smite. I think it's better that way. So I wouldn't recommend building this either. Now, Archangel Staff is just as troll as everything else that I listed the last 3 items. If you buy tier, you waste 750 gold to stack mana. You don't really have mana problems. The first place, sometimes I do feel like I could use a little bit more mana, or I could use a blue buff, and then I just get a blue buff. Usually my mid laners don't mind as much, because they have like 2k mana, because somehow mage items are really fucking broken and everyone just has a shit ton of mana. That's a different story. I just wouldn't recommend building this. You get a mana shield, which I guess is kind of cool, but then again, you're playing AP Shaco, and you should almost never die anyways, unless you're literally suiciding, but at that point, your Archangel Staff is not going to save you either. So yeah, just don't build this item, and sorry for that noise, by the way, that was my bottle. I don't know how it made that sound, but anyways, Spellbinder. Okay-ish item, I guess. Has some funny synergies, because you can Q in, then press Spellbinder, press R. I think your clone keeps the extra movement speed, and you can just run out with the increased movement speed. I don't know. I've never built this item. I think I built it once or something. Like, I don't ever build this item in a real game. It's not worth it. It looks good on paper, but instead of this, I would probably get Rabadons. It's just better. I feel like this, I don't know, it's not worth it. It takes too long to stack, honestly. Getting 100 stacks just takes ages, man. On Eve, on like Vladimir or even Ryze, but I don't think Ryze builds it, it would be pretty easy, because you just have like 2-second Q or E or whatever. So you can stack it really easily on those champions, but on AP Shaco, this takes ages, so don't build this. Now, Banji's Veil is kind of like Zonya's, where it offers you defensive stats, and in this case a shield, which is good, but again, you only should build this if the enemy team has a lot of magic damage, and you want to basically block that magic damage, or... Yeah, I mean, the shield is good when queuing in and then Ring. Sometimes, especially mages do have a lot of AoE, so if you Q-R and they just like AoE your clone and try to kill it, you won't blow up because you have that one bit of shield and the magic resist. But yeah, again, it's a defensive item. There's more efficient items usually, but I built this more often than Zhonya's actually, I gotta admit. I built Banshees more often than Zhonya's. Nash's Tooth is also very interesting. There's a couple of builds that utilize Nash's Tooth. I might make a separate video on Nash's Tooth builds. The thing is, it feels great. I can't lie. Like, having Nash's Tooth feels amazing. The attack speed is really nice, the on damage is cool, the 20% is awesome, 80 AP is really good. But for some reason, I don't know. I played it. I just prefer my normal AP build. And if you're wondering what I'm building, obviously check out my Shaco guide for 10.1. It's still up to date, the AP build. But I don't know. It just... There's a certain build which allows you to get like 110% or 120% even, I think. I think 110 is the max. Cdr build, which utilizes Transcendence to overcap the Cdr and then gain AP out of it. And especially in combination with Rabadons, this is really strong. But it's too unique of a build. I like to stay with my proto build, Liandry's build. It's just a lot better, in my opinion. But again, if you guys want a video on Nash's Tooth builds, because there are a couple, or in general, then let me know. Now, Ardent Sensor used to work. I'm not sure if it still does. I think they patched it a while ago, like half a year ago. They patched self-healing. I'm not sure if self-healing counts for your clone or for the clone to you. But yeah, don't build this item. Don't. It's not worth it. You can still go a E-Boy Shaco build, which I like to do, where you go Font of Life, and then if you attack an enemy champion, or slow them I think, and one of your teammates hits that target with an auto attack, they get the Ardent Sensor's attack speed buff. That is too situational, requires your team to have hands and to be strong, so I don't know. Usually the support has this item anyways, but don't build this. Same with Athenes, you have no way of healing somebody, so does shielding from Guardian work? If Guardian shielding works, then I guess you could build this item, but it's so fucking troll, just with like Ardent Sensor as well. Don't build this. Same with Thought of Ages, it takes way too long to stack. We're not trying to stack or wait 10 minutes for the item to kick in. It's not worth it. Please don't build this. Especially the sub item, this one, the Catalyst, is like really useless in the jungle. So don't take this. Now Morello is you basically upgrade into from Oblivion Orb. The thing is, Morello is very situational. I would only upgrade into Morellos if I need the healing reduction. Because the upgrade from Oblivion Orb to Morello isn't really that gold efficient. So you're wasting a lot of gold that you could use for different items. For example, Liandry's. So only upgrade into Morello if you actually need the healing reduction for the enemy team. If they're like Vladimir, Soraka, Yumi, Sona, all these champions that pretty much have a shit ton of healing. Other than that, stay away from this item. Unless it's obviously full late game and you have nothing else to buy, then you can finish this item for sure, but other than that, I wouldn't. Now this is my favorite item. Liandry's. This item is so fucking fun. Oh, it's so broken. I don't know. This item is... Whenever I complete this item, I just know, okay, game's almost over now. If I get this item and I can carry, or I'm in a position where I think I can carry, then this item makes me go 1v9 mode. Now, I build this item every single game after Proto Belt, unless I want to get Oblivion Orb first for the true damage, if the enemy team doesn't build Magic Resist. But this item is, oh, it's so goddamn strong. oh my god, even the sub items are really good. This one is, oh, Haunting Eyes is, yeah, I don't know. I think you can hear from my voice. I love this item. It's really good. The burn damage is insane, especially when the enemies are slowed from Blue Smite or E, or feared from boxes or Clone Explosion. They take 2.5 damage or 2.5 max HP instead of 1.5 max HP. So that's really good. And you also have the 10% bonus damage you have if you're in combat with 5 enemy champions. And with your clone and your proto belt and your boxes, it's really easy to be in combat with multiple champions at the same time, especially in a team fight. So this item is just completely nutty. This is really, oh, this item is beautiful. Now, Gunblade, the only time I would ever build Gunblade is in a, what's it called? In a, forgot the name. In the hybrid build, that's it. In the hybrid build. The thing is that the hybrid build is kind of out of date. It doesn't really work as much anymore as it used to. You don't necessarily one-shot somebody, especially with now Phantom Dancer and people building Hex Drinker, or it's people building Tabis, which also works against Dustblade and stuff. It's really just not worth it. The healing is nice, the stats are cool, the on-hit damage is really nice, but you're not meant to play AP Shaco in a burst kind of way, if that makes sense. So I would usually recommend staying away from this item, unless you're Chase and you're playing for content or for fun. I don't know. I wouldn't play this item just ever. Now Rabadon's on the other hand is pretty good, especially if you have true damage already. You have your Haunting Guys. You just have no other item to buy because you don't need Banshees or you don't need Zhonya's. You don't need Void Staff because you're already dealing true damage. Then the only real item left is Rabadon's, which is insanely powerful. Having true damage and a shit ton of AP guarantees for anyone to just get one shot by like either box smite proto belt auto attack combo, or even just a single box, or just a clone explosion just gonna one shot the entire enemy team. This item is really good. I wouldn't build it over most of the other items though, especially if I need them, because again, I would rather get a Void Staff than a Rabadon's, because the true damage is a lot better than having higher scaling, because the scaling isn't too good. It's not bad, it's just not too good for it to be better than having magic penetration. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend. Unless, again, you don't need anything else, then it's a really, really good item. Now for a full build, what I usually have, I first of all always rush this, as I said, it's too broken. Then I go Sorok Shoes, and then I go for Proto Belt. This is my core build every single game, always. 100% of the time, this is what I build. Afterwards, it depends. If the enemy team doesn't have Magic Resist, and I know I can have the true damage from Oblivion Orb, I buy an Oblivion Orb in between. So let's add that one here. After that, if I don't need the healing reduction, I go straight to Haunting Guys. If I do need the healing reduction, and I already have Oblivion Orb, then I obviously build Morello's, but if I don't need the healing reduction, I don't. Then I go I go Liandry's. It's really powerful, and once I have that item, I can confidently 1v9 the game. After that, it depends. If the enemy team has a lot of AD, I go Zhonya's. If the enemy team has a lot of AP, I usually go Banshees. And if I don't need either, I usually go Rabadon's. So let's just say, I don't know, the enemy team has a lot of AP, so I go Banshees. And then there's only one more item. Actually, no. We're already at 6 items. Never mind. So what you can do is then finish the Morello's. Perfect. Boom. Now you're done with your build. Now if you need the Magic Resist later on, for example, if you don't go Oblivion Orb, what I do is I go Liandry's after Proto Belt. And then if I now see that the enemy team has like Merc Treads and Hex Drinkers and I don't know, the healing item, what's it called? Spirit Visage, then I usually go Void Staff to shred their Magic Resist. And then if the enemy team again has a lot of AP, I go Banshees. If they have a lot of armor, physical damage, I go Zhonya's. If they have a lot of nothing actually, then I go Rabadon's. They don't have any heavy AD or AP damage. If they're kind of mixed, I guess, then I go Rabadon's. Apart from that, there's no variation really that I do. This is pretty much it. I only swap between rushing Liandry's and getting a Oblivion Orb. Or I go, yeah, Banshees, Zonyas, or Rabadons most of the time. There's really not much to it. It's not too hard to build it. I think this clarifies it quite a bit. But there's obviously interesting AP builds with Nash's Tooth, but that's for another video. I'm sorry if this is a little bit long and a little bit rambly and not very well structured. I'm gonna be honest, I'm just a little bit lazy. But I think this still has pretty much all the information you need in it. It's not too all over the place, I hope. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know, thumbs up, leave a comment for the algorithm, Kappa. Obviously subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss my future videos. And if you guys want to, if you have any questions, comment section down below, or you join my Discord, which is in the info box in the description. You can also check out my Twitch if you want to. I try to stream pretty much daily. I'm currently trying to grind to Challenger. I'm already 400 OP, so I need only like 200 something more. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want me to do anything else in terms of videos, then let me know. I will try to do it if I can. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye, peeps.